Hey, good morning, everyone. Oh. Commonland is an enabler of large-scale landscape restoration, and we have been working in southeastern Spain in an area called the Altiplano Estepario, an area of 1 million hectares, since 2014 with our local landscape partner, AlVelAl. And AlVelAl are trying to restore the landscape on multiple activities, like developing business cases, restoring natural areas, and supporting farmers to transition to regenerative agriculture. They're working with multiple stakeholders, from farmers, conservationists, government ministers, and entrepreneurs, to halt desertification and erosion, establish biodiversity corridors, and bring prosperity back to the region. The Altiplano Estepario is a semi-arid steppe landscape. That means it's a transition between desert and forest. There's too little rain for a forest to grow, but the soil is too moist for a desert. So in this landscape, water is and has always been scarce. But despite this, the landscape is incredibly long-lived. And today, the economy is mostly based on agriculture. The dominant crops in the region are cereals, almonds, and olives. But unfortunately, in the Altiplano, the way that food produced is destroying the very soil that farming depends on. Soil degradation and destruction exceeds the rate of soil formation. So the soil's capacity to support crops and livestock diminishes because of the erosion of topsoil and the loss of nutrient-rich soil organic matter and the life it supports. And as a consequence of the semi-arid climate and geographical conditions, when rain does arrive, it is often torrential. And this results in more soil erosion. You can see this in the photo with the lines cutting through between these almond trees. In some areas, fertile soil is lost at a rate of 20 tons per hectare per year. And soil is not a renewable resource, it has to be created. And of course, all of this soil erosion reduces the capacity of the region to mitigate climate change, results in plummeting biodiversity numbers, and means that farmers are not producing healthy and nutritious food. Now, it's important to remember with landscape restoration and degradation, as consumers, we are all complicit. If you've ever bought a bottle of olive oil from Spain that's under 10 euros, you're probably contributing to landscape degradation in the Altiplano Estepario. Since the mid-20th century, the Altiplano has been characterized by a continuous decline in population, and unemployment rates are increasing. Yet there's huge opportunity for the region to establish sustainable business cases which are founded on practices that replenish soil, water, and lead to healthy landscapes for thriving communities. Commonland and AlVelAl work to put into action the 4 Returns framework. And this is the idea to create a clear lens of what landscape restoration makes possible. We don't only focus on the financial returns, making money doing good, the natural returns, improving biodiversity and sequestering carbon, the social returns, the jobs being created, but also the return of inspiration. And that means being part of a movement, watching your landscape heal through your actions and in front of your very eyes. I'd like to introduce you to Michael Lara. Michael is a young farmer that's been working with AlVelAl for the last 6 years. He inherited a farm of 50 hectares from his father. And AlVelAl had been supporting him to introduce regenerative farming techniques. They've also connected him to the Regenerative Business Habitat, a cooperative for extra virgin olive oil. Next to producing olives and almonds, Michael manages a flock of Segareño sheep on his farm. Regenerating farming techniques that Michael is introducing are critical to halting desertification, sequestering carbon, and create biodiversity-rich habitats while providing healthier and more nutritious products. And one of these really simple techniques is ground cover. We're hearing a lot at this conference about tech solutions to mitigate climate change. The best solutions we have are photosynthesis and soil, and that's exactly what ground cover implements. Ground cover is simply the plants that grow in a diverse meadow across a farm. When plants grow like this, they're protecting soil while feeding nutrients and minerals into the earth. That feeds and regenerates soil life while maintaining rich soil biology. Healthy soil and diverse plants improve carbon sequestration and prevent soil erosion from the heavy rains in the region, because when you have this diverse structure of plants, the roots hold the soil structure together, meaning water infiltrates into the land slowly, which is of course critical in a semi-arid environment. That rich cover of ground cover also supports above-ground life. plants provide habitat for a whole food chain of biodiversity. Predatory insects and birds feed on pests and plagues, preventing outbreaks and supporting healthy, resilient agriculture. So in this way, the wild animals living within and above the ground cover regulate food production, just as they would in a natural ecosystem. I wish I could transport you to Michael's farm. I was there last April, and as you're walking between the almond and the olive trees, your feet are just brushing through this wildflower meadow. You hear the humming of insects. You see birds like corn bunting, larks, bullfinches, and goldfinches flitting between the trees, while there are vultures circling above. And you can really feel that rich earth beneath your feet. All that ingredients and all that life, of course, results in improved production, higher quality yields, and a healthier product. Yet, most farms in the area don't look like Michael's, but are instead production systems that replace ecological complexity, degrade the landscape, and exterminate biodiversity. Here you can see such an example of a farm on the left. This is Michael's neighbor's plot. But the good news is it does not take a long time to create a farm like Michael's. Michael's farm used to look like his neighbor's plot just 6 years ago. And of course, farmers like Michael are seeing the impact of their work, of their labor, of regenerative agriculture, and they're understanding that in this semi-arid landscape, if you want to keep on farming, the agriculture based on chemicals is simply not going to work. AlVelAl's aim is to work with thousands of farmers like Michael across the territory to support a transition of food production that is aligned with natural system, to create diverse agro-ecosystems that mimic natural systems and lead to resilient, sustainable, and regenerative agriculture, all the while creating new business opportunity and new reasons for communities to stay in the landscape. The achievements to date are 400 members in the AlVelAl network, a manifesto for regenerative territory with the signing of 79 municipalities, 3 regenerative businesses, and 11,300 hectares under improved management. The future vision is 25,000 hectares of corridors correcting natural parks, 60,000 hectares of farmland that's regeneratively managed, 50 regenerative businesses, and the transition of 600 existing businesses. The Commonland financial team has assessed that we need 52.6 million euros for the next 10 years to make that happen, and Commonland has already committed 5 million euros for the next 10 years. We've identified that we need 36.4 million euros in grant funding, which would cover natural zone restoration, research and development, communication, and education. And the investment needs are 16.2 million euros for agribusiness, e-commerce, transition finance, and tourism. If this has sparked your imagination and you'd like to find out more about the amazing work of AlVelAl and the farmers they're working with, come and speak to either me or my colleagues, Eva and Guillermo. And we have lots of great nuts from the landscape, pistachio nuts, walnuts, and almonds. So please come and give it a taste. And if you'd like to explore the landscape, grab your phone, scan the QR code, and it'll take you straight to Explorer.land so you can really navigate the incredible work of AlVelAl. Thanks a lot.